This is an $800 gaming PC, and it's pretty awesome at 1440p, and it's really awesome at 1080p. We're going to show you all the parts that we chose to build this bad boy, as well as benchmark it in some of your favorite games here in 2024. For the CPU, we're going with the i5 12400F, 6 cores, 12 threads. It's going to be a beast for this mid-range gaming session that we're going to have. But we didn't want to go with a stock cooler, so we went with ID Cooling's 214 XT. It's only 17 bucks. It's going to keep it cool, and it's going to look good. For the motherboard, we chose the Z690M motherboard from ASRock. We got a steal on it for only $99, brand new, unopened, really awesome. If you can't find them in this price range, you could always get like a B660 or a B760, and you know, it'll probably be around this price range or maybe $10 more. It is a DDR4 motherboard, so we picked up 16 gigs of RAM, 3200 megahertz, Oli brand, love this brand, only like 38 bucks. For the SSD, we went with the 500 gigabyte kit from Kingston. I know 500 gigabytes is not a lot here in 2024, but SSD prices are crazy, so to stay in the $800 price range and still get a lot of performance, we went with 500 gigs. If you wanted to upgrade, it would cost you like $25 more to get another terabyte, so you know, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. It's up to you. And for the power supply, we chose the Seagotep 750 watts. It's a pretty awesome power supply, packs a powerful punch, and it's fully modular. Only $90, absolutely love it. I've used it in a ton of builds, super reliable. For the case, we chose this B-Gears case. It's kind of like a knockoff of the O11 Mini. It's only $50, and it looks pretty awesome. Now, I mean, I think the case looks pretty nice. It has a built-in button to change the RGB, as well as a reset button, power switch. But the major drawback to this case that you can see is that it has no fans. So we picked up this 3-pack of fans. They are ARGB, but you know, they'll do the job. We don't need a whole lot of extra cooling. We just need some airflow in this case. Now, as some extra add-ons, we got these cable sleeves here, about 20 bucks, solid black. They're gonna give the build a little bit of a pop, and you know, we like the pop. And everybody's favorite part of PC building is the GPU. We went with the RX 6650 XT. We got it on sale for only $245. I know we could have got the 7600 for a little bit more, but that would have went over budget. So 6650 XT it is. All the parts we just went over will be linked down in the description. They are affiliate links. And just as promised at the beginning of the video, we are gonna benchmark it in some of the best games of 2024. First up, we tried Starfield. Starfield at 1440p, we tried it on the medium preset settings with no upscaling. We turned that off. We got like 75 FPS, but we wanted to crank it up a notch, so we went with ultra settings, no upscaling, and we got like around 58 FPS. So we decided to, you know, use FSR because, you know, that's the big thing, but it only gave us like 53, 54 FPS. I think it's because I had the render resolution at 100, and Starfield wants to drop that when you turn on FSR, but you know. But the coolest thing about the AMD GPU, even the 6000 series cards, is that you get access to Frame Gen with FSR 3.0. Frame Gen was awesome. It was super smooth, way smoother than I expected it to be, and it gave us like 85 FPS on 1440p ultra settings, and it looked pretty good on my OLED monitor. Now, we did also want to try something, you know, just in raw GPU PC performance, and we tried CyberPunk 2077. And in CyberPunk 2077, medium settings, no upscaling, at 1440p, we got a solid 61 FPS, which I thought was pretty solid. And in a game like CyberPunk, 60 FPS is perfectly fine. Halo Infinite, we tried it at both 1440p and 1080p just because, you know, it's a different type of game, and the settings are not as easily changed. So we tried medium settings at 1440p, and we got like 80 to 90 FPS, and at 1080p, medium settings, we got like 130 to 140. So this thing kicks tail at 1080p. Next, we tried Warzone on the Resurgence game mode, and we tried it at 1440p only because there is a feature with AMD graphics cards that we talked about earlier called Frame Gen that's absolutely awesome. So we tried Warzone first at 1440p on the extreme settings to really try out this Frame Gen thing, and we got like, you know, 100 to 115 FPS. Occasionally it would drop down to like 90 if you were like close to water or in a really demanding part of the map. Then we tried FSR 3.0, and it got a little bit better, like 120-ish FPS at times. But the biggest thing was when we turned on Frame Gen, we went up to like 170 to 180 FPS on 1440p extreme settings. And our millisecond latency here in MSI Afterburner never really went above 10, and I think that's a good sweet spot. I think even it stayed around 4 or 5 most of the time, but that was just absolutely awesome. Technology is coming so far. And you know, we got to throw one CPU based game in there just for, you know, kicks and giggles. And that was Valorant at 1440p high settings. Valorant got us over like 300 FPS. Might have dropped below that a few times, but you're not going to notice. Running super smooth. Any games that you want to play like that, CSGO, Overwatch, those types of games are going to run flawlessly on this $800 gaming PC, even at 1440p. Then we tried everyone's favorite Battle Royale. I say that in jest because I know a lot of you don't like it, but there is a huge portion of the world that loves Fortnite. And we tried it at both DX12 and performance mode. On DX12 at 1440p, we still use like competitive settings because like if you're playing Fortnite, you're not playing max settings. You're just not doing it. On competitive settings, DX12, we got like, you know, 160 to 200 FPS on 1440p. It was okay. It was a little up and down. 1080p was really smooth at like 200, 220 FPS. It was pretty good for the most part. But the biggest knock is that you can't play performance mode on an AMD GPU, and that's just not true. I played for 2 hours on this performance mode. It's the same thing. It's just as smooth as anything else. And I got a 4090 in my main PC. But on performance mode at 1440p, we got a solid 240 FPS. Now, it did drop a little bit, but it's not affecting your performance. Like, I know I can't triple edit, but it's perfectly fine to drop below 240 every now and then. As long as you're not like bottoming out at like 40 or 30 FPS, you're perfectly fine. Then at 1080p though, we pushed 300. It was like 275, 280s, but we pushed 300 a lot. It was really awesome, really fun. Overall at 1440p, this PC is pretty solid, and at 1080p, it's absolutely awesome. If you like these step-by-step guides, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to do it again for you if that's what you want and you enjoy this type of content. But if you want something a little shorter and more straight to the point, then you need to go check out this video.